Hi, my name's Tom and this is my 1991 Honda NSX. I always had an appreciation of cars. I liked rallying when I was younger, and then I was doing my mechanics training and had a go in an EK9, and ever since then fell in love with Honda, and that's kind of where it happened about 12 years ago. Yeah, just fell in love with cars. I sold a house, and with the money from the house decided it was either now or never, and ended up buying this. When I first got the car, it was covered in overspray because it had been sat next to a paints booth for a while. It was dusty. The interior was a little bit shabby just because things had been changed in it. Had the wrong mats in it. Just things like that really. It didn't have the standard wheels on it, so when I bought the car I asked if he had the standard wheels. Got them in with the deal as well, so that was a little deal sweetener. So the first plan was always going to be to clean it up. I've been quite renowned for having a clean EK9 and clean cars in general, so the first things first was clean it up, get it to a state where I can be happy with it and be proud of it. And then it was always to be lightly modified or completely standard, one of the two. So when I got the car, I had no history at all, no paperwork, nothing came with it. So I started off with the invoice for buying it. And then I joined the NSX UK Owners Club and contacted people on there, was saying like, does anybody know this car? And I got contacted by one of the previous owners, and literally recently went down to see him again, and he had the full history for the car. He had loads of spare parts, and I've ended up with it all. Yeah, it's got full service history from day one of purchase, and I've now put it back to standard. Demodifying it, the first thing I wanted to do was rip out the stereo. The stereo was starting to fail in it wasn't working very well, so I always wanted the OEM stereo. But to do that I needed the fascia as well, and both of those were expensive parts. But luckily the previous owner had the original radio for the car, so it was just a case of finding the fascia. Managed to find one of those off eBay quite cheap, so I was lucky there. And then exhaust tips, I had to scour for exhaust tips because they were missing. I have two pairs now, so I have a clean set that's absolutely immaculate, and then a road going set. They're easy to change, so I just switch them between the two. And then I've managed to get remanufactured mats, and I just keep it clean from there. I managed to get the spare wheel now, so it's all going back to fully OEM, as it should be, yeah. The engine is on about 157,000 miles. As a chassis, it's the original engine. And when I bought the car, I was led to believe that this was the actual mileage of the engine. But then when I got the history, it had a £8,500 invoice for a full engine refresh by a guy called Kaz Yukai. He's a very well-known NSX maintenance guy, and he works wonders. He's basically like God when it comes to these. And this has been through his fingers, so yeah, I'm lucky enough to own it. And currently the engine's now sat on, after the refresh, about 23,000 miles. This NSX is actually a UK spec car, so despite having the Japanese rear bumper and the Japanese front plates around, it's actually a UK car. It's never left the country unless it's been on a nice little road trip. But it also means, being a 5-speed manual UK, it has a longer fifth gear ratio. So compared to the JDM models who have a shorter fifth gear ratio, this has now got a longer one, which is better for the motorway cruising really, I suppose. Yeah, so it's much more fitting for UK roads. For me, this car is something I can enjoy on the weekend. I have a daily driver, which again is a Honda, a Civic Tourer. So this is just something that I can enjoy and be passionate about, like clean. And because it's rare, I quite enjoy like taking it to shows where there isn't any other NSXs. It's quite nice, but then at the same time it's nice to meet up with other NSX owners, like get their experiences and stuff like that. So it's a way to meet people who are like-minded to myself, and it's something that I can enjoy driving and not just leaving it sat in a garage. I do enjoy driving it quite hard, so it's quite nice. So the car's future plans for me is I would like to bare metal the car and get it repainted. It's had paint before, it's starting to look a bit tired for myself, so I'd like to get it fully repainted, strip down, clean absolutely everything. You know, all the individual parts, if there's anything that needs repowder coating, it'll get done. So in a sense of full restoration. I'd like to maybe get a few aftermarket parts for it, tinker with it a little bit, so I can enjoy having it lightly modified, but then always have the option of having it back to standard, and most of the time I probably will have it standard. I'd like to take it on track as well, but then it's the other people, so it'd have to be quite a prestigious track day for me, like with drivers who have been on track a lot of times, so they have the experience, which would be nice, because the last thing I want is for someone to lose control and hit it or anything. So I've not really had any achievements with it as of yet. I don't feel it's ready to enter show and shine or anything like that, although I would like to. I mean, I entered one not long after purchase. I machine polished it in a field at JE and got coaxed into putting it in the show and shine hall. It didn't win anything, I knew it wouldn't, because it had machine polishing residue everywhere. I didn't have access to air, I didn't have access to a jet wash, so I couldn't really get rid of most of the residue. So, but it was nice to be in there. It was nice to be asked and coaxed into it. I suppose in a weird way, the sense of achievement is in myself, like as in it being standard, it being people coming up to me and saying, "Oh, it's really clean. That's immaculate." That's kind of achievement for myself. There's not really many difficulties with the car. Parts are quite easy to get hold of. If anything, it's the expense of the parts. That's probably the biggest difficulty. Like that little fascia that we were talking about with the radio, just for a bit of plastic, £650. And the radio again is £650, and parts just go up. They do rocket quite a lot, and with the age of the car, there's less parts going on, and with the cars obviously going up in price and becoming more prestigious, naturally the prices of parts go up. There is a few people who have parts dotted about. This Christian Mittendorfer, he's in Austria. He tends to get crashed ones, breaks them for spares. He's broken some good ones, so he has spare chassis so that people can't reshell their cars if anything does happen to them. And he does race them as well. So the wheels are nice and small, so tyres are quite cheap for this calibre of car. It's mechanically really reliable, so yeah, it's not really, it's not like it's a bad thing to own. As in, like some cars of this calibre, they can be quite unreliable, or parts are hard to get. But no, the NSX is a nice car to own. Yeah. When I got in contact with one of the previous owners, he actually shared the story of how this got a bit of damage. He was literally not far from his house, and there was a wedding going on. And obviously, when there's a wedding going on, everybody looks. So there was traffic lights just after the church. So the cars had all stopped. He was stopped. The car behind him was stopped, and the person behind that car didn't stop. So it shunted along, and this ended up with a little bit of a ding on the front and a little bit of a ding on the back. That's why it's got the Japanese rear bumper, and why there's a small crack just in front of the passenger side headlight, just in the bumper, and probably why it's got a yellow badge. So it had a replacement bonnet, had replacement eyelids, but it's still got the original bumper, because I believe it was like quite a high vehicle that it went into in the front, so there wasn't that much damage to the bumper, and that's why it came to me without the tailpipes, because they would have been a bit buggered, I reckon. Yeah, so it had a replacement bonnet, replacement headlight, eyelids, and they're yellow underneath. That's why there's a nice little lovely yellow stone chip. And the yellow badge is quite a funny story, actually. So on my original EJ9, I had that painted championship white from Supersonic Blue, and I didn't want it to be a Type R replica, so I put a yellow badge on it. And then I was always after an NSX ever since I'd seen one, like pictures of them. I said to my friends, I'm going to have one of them one day, and yeah, funnily enough, I buy an NSX and it's got a yellow badge on it. So it's kind of ironic, but at the same time, it takes a mick out of Ferrari, because this is a car that beat Ferrari, and it's red, and it's got a yellow badge on it. So it takes a mick out of Ferrari at the same time, so it's a double win. So the NSX is special to me really because, well, I'm a massive Honda fan, and this was Honda's first go at kind of a flagship supercar as such. They went after Ferrari and they beat it, so it's something really special for everyone really. They kind of like were pioneers when they put the F1 technology into it, with the aluminium chassis and the technology within it, with the mid-engine. Although there was already mid-engine cars out there, this was kind of like a first for a lot of things. Yeah, so for me, the NSX is special in that right, but this one exactly is quite special to me. So when I was looking for an NSX, I wanted one as close to my birthday as I could. So I was born July 1991, and this car was registered in August 1991. But it was by chance that happened. Like when I was looking at it, I got too excited to even think about that. And then after about a month of ownership, it kind of clicked, and I was like, hey, I got the one I wanted after all. Like, so this to me is quite special. Plus it being a really early one, at number 660, it's nice to have an early one. I prefer having earlier ones. So yeah, it's mine now, so it's special to me. I've owned this car for just over 2 years now. It took me 10 years to get it. But yeah, I've had it for 2 years and it's just been getting cleaner ever since. It took me a good couple of months to find a good one within budget that was manual, NA1, so with the pop-ups. And with it being, I wanted one, like I say, as early as possible. So with it being as early as it is, well, I was really happy just to find that one. So I went out of my way to get it. And it took a while. I mean, I was waiting for house funds to clear, and I'd already put a deposit on. So I put the deposit down, and then a few months later, after paying a few more deposits, yeah, the house funds cleared, and I drove straight down that same day with a wad of cash and just laid it in front of him and said, I want it, I'm having it. So I've had it up to 155 on a private road. And I don't really want to take it any more than that until I get this ever so slight play in the steering rack, which is a common issue with these cars. So, and you just need to tighten it up. That's all it is. It's not a huge job, but until that's sorted, I won't take it any quicker than that. But yeah, there's quite a lot still to go. Even after 155, there's quite a lot more to go. So it'll be interesting to find out the off-paper top speed of it. Yeah. So the horsepower of it is around 280 horsepower. Yeah, so 280 horsepower, which is quite nice for a car that weighs 1,300 kilos. It's enough, especially in the 90s when you look at, I don't know, say a car of that time like an EG Civic. So you look at an EG6 and the speed of that, and then you look at the speed of this. Back in those days, it was quite a feat to be that quick. Whereas these days, with you look at a Civic Type R now, and there's really not that much difference. So obviously, supercars have had to up their game a little bit more. So, but back in the 90s, this was a really quick car, really quick car. A lot of people love this car. They say, "Oh, I haven't seen one of these before," or "I haven't seen one of these in years." I mean, it's a poster car. It's a car that people had on their walls as a child, or they saw them in showrooms when they were a kid and always vowed to get one. So you always get the people who've always wanted one and haven't really had the chance. But yeah, you always get a happy reaction. And like I was saying before about people saying it's clean, it's a good example. That's what I get quite a lot of the time, which is nice, and saying it's been well kept. I get some quite good reactions from it, and like I say, with not many of them going to shows, because they're either cooped up in garages or owned by people that just don't go to shows. You don't really see them there. So when you do go to a show, you get quite a good reaction. Yeah, it's quite nice. It's humbling. It's humbling.